John, there is only one question in America, underscored by Dr. Redfield yesterday of the CDC. What is the linkage of expanding cases to deaths 3 or 4 weeks down the road, whether it's Delhi in India, whether it's Portugal, or whether it's Houston, Texas?
Morning, Tom. Yeah, I think you have to assume that in these cases, it's a case of rain follows the plow, right? If people are getting sick, if we are seeing more cases, these cases tend to take about 2 to 3 weeks to play out. Obviously, not everybody dies, but I mean, if you look at the, it's a percentage. But if you look at the numbers of cases as they rise, 2 to 3 weeks down the road, you do tend to see that the number of deaths rises as well. We haven't seen that yet in the U.S., but the number of cases has just risen recently.
John, I anecdotally learned yesterday of a family where the father got the virus, the mother got the virus, and the son got the virus. The father lived, the mother died, and the 31-year-old son died as well. Within all of your research and reading, do we grossly misjudge the effect of the virus on those under 60 years old?
So the CDC's actually revised a little bit their guidance on this, or at least their estimations in this area. They had been saying that people over 65 are at increased risk. Now they say that as you get older, the risk increases. I think it's still, the jury's still out. There's some evidence that younger people are protected. There's no question that as you get older, as you get into the 60, 65-year-old range, you are at higher risk. And part of that has to be because naturally, people at older ages, they have more underlying conditions. There's higher rates of heart disease, higher rates of obesity, higher rates of background lung disease that is going to make you more vulnerable to these complications. But there's no denying that there is a risk to people in their 30s, in their 40s, and I think many people misjudge that.
John, good morning from London. We talk a lot about, this initially being a respiratory disease, but now every day we hear about other factors associated with it. It's blood clots, it's early heart attacks, it's things like that. How much do we actually understand what the disease is and how it's morphing? Well,
we talked not too long ago about the impact of dexamethasone. It's a hugely important finding because it underscores the disruption that the virus brings to the body's immune system. That the body is flailing around, the immune system is flailing around, trying to fight this virus, doing everything within its power to kill the virus, right? And a lot of these weapons of the immune system get misplaced, and that's why you end up with clotting, you end up with some organ damage in some patients. Actually, overnight, we had a story that delineated some of the effects on the brain. It's not just strokes, which would result from clotting, but there are also people who they incur behavioral disorders, altered mental states, confusion, depression, various psychiatric disorders. So because the body is reacting so strongly to this virus that it's never seen before, I mean, if you get an infection, if you get enough of the virus to get severely ill, the entire body really rebels. And that's why the dexamethasone finding is so important. There are other drugs coming down the pike that may help us deal with these inflammatory reactions, may be even better than dexamethasone, and help control this. Because dexamethasone, as we know, and remdesivir as well, the other drug that's now being used reliably to fight the virus, neither one of these drugs is a cure. Anybody who thinks that there's a cure out there, there is not one.